sometimes when I'm reflecting on my career specifically, I look at my resume and that's when I'm like, oh, okay, like you've done something, right? And I think that it's funny and it's kind of a little bit ridiculous. Um, but I don't think that I'm like sitting down and reflecting the way that I should be. I'm kind of just like on the go always, and I'm always planning tomorrow's schedule and then the day after that schedule and like, so I have moment of reflections that are very kind of just like tying my productivity to my worth and being like, okay,
Mhm.
like this is where you are at your career. I guess you did do something, I guess it has worked out for you, but it hasn't been like a whole reflection of like, this is who you are as a human being. You're kind, you're empathetic, you have great friends, you have great family, and it should be that way. But because I'm always thinking about the next thing and because I'm still learning to disconnect my self-worth from productivity, I don't do it. I guess I don't reflect as properly as I should be. So it's still very much a process for me. And that's why I giggled in the beginning because saying it out loud sounds ridiculous. And I'm just like, really? That's the reflection that you're doing. And I know that I should be reflecting in other ways and I should be tying all these things into just like who I am as a person. Like there's other metrics of success in my life. But for me, it's just like check out your resume and like there you go. It's right there. And that's not the way it should be because even if I didn't have a resume, like then does that mean like I'm not as worthy? I'm not a good person, So that's
Ah,
why.
Stephanie, this so resonates. I'm just gonna jump in quickly, Sadia, is, I kept hearing a lot of "I should," and it's just so interesting, like, the prejudgment we put on ourselves, um, for it. But very quickly on me for me, absolutely, I'm someone who constantly moves the metric of what success is. So even if I accomplished everything on that limitless to-do list, it's already gained another 100 points. So this has gotten to the point of, well, no wonder I'm always drained. No wonder I'm exhausted. No wonder I'm tired of myself because it's constantly this idea of I've created it. I've met every goal and expectation, but by the time I can even reflect on that, I've already added a ton more. So it's constantly this feeling of feeling dissatisfied because I'm not pausing and reflecting.
I would say that, like, definitely in the first 10 years of my career, like, in my 20s and maybe into early 30s, like, I didn't stop to reflect. Like, I was so busy doing and wanting to achieve and wanting to progress that I think that I was just really laser focused on that. Um, and the only time that I probably did pause to reflect was to say, "How can I package this so it sounds really awesome for whatever I wanna do next?" But it was that sense of like picking up to move forward rather than stopping to really offer yourself a spaciousness of reflecting. And then I think now, as I've reached certain junctures, especially in my life or my career, reflection takes on a different, um, there's a different perspective, like reflecting on my life before I had children, like what was my life like? Reflecting on when my children were much younger, they're still young, but when they were really like little babies versus how they are now. Like, and so I do think there are moments in life on the personal side that offer you a chance to stop and pause and reflect. Professionally, though, I think that it maybe doesn't happen as often. Like I think it happens more when you're at a stage where you're trying to figure out like what's the next move, what's the next level? Like, have I actually come as far as I can go in a certain area or capacity? And like what am I trying to do next? So I feel like those have been some common themes for me. And so, what you're talking about, Corinne, about this idea that like by the time you say you've accomplished what you set out to accomplish, you already have new goals out there. I sort of feel like there's a sense in which life is always propelling us forward, right? Like every day it's changing, every year we're getting older, like there's all these new different experiences. And sometimes you can, like, I see myself at that stage in life now where I really am stopping to reflect. I've made some really large decisions in life that have changed the course of my life. Certain big events have happened in my life that are going to impact me for a long time to come. and I can look at all of my accomplishments and I can stop to be incredibly proud of them. And at the same time, like I can know that I'm nowhere near done. And in fact, I'm not even sure that I got to the doorstep of where I actually believe that life is meant to be. And so I'm not sure if that desire or that striving or that, or that yearning goes away. And maybe that's a sign of, I don't know, discontentment or like not being at peace with yourself. Like, I'm not sure. I'm sure people could diagnose me 10 different ways in that capacity. Maybe those things are true. Or maybe there's just a sense that like, I'm not there yet. Maybe that task is going to keep adding on to until I finally arrive at the place where I feel like I am in the full flow of life, because I don't feel that yet. And now others might say, well, there is no such place. You're never going to get there. And so if you can find peace and contentment and joy and abundance right where you are, then that's the best state of existence you can be in. Like, I think that there are so many different thoughts, modalities out there, and everyone has their own perspective on this. And I think that every time we try to answer this question, it's like we're trying to fundamentally just figure out, how do we get to a place where we wake up one day and like everything inside and out of us, like in our own being, actually just feels right. And I haven't met very many people, if any at all, who can tell me that they've really gotten to a place in their life, no matter how old or young they are, how rich or not they are, where like they wake up every day and things have just clicked, whatever that means for them, and everything feels right. Like you just want to feel good in yourself. And I think for me, like I have a really big question about that, like in just the human experience. Like, is there such a place?